Hello, I'm Tony Guida. This is My New York. Today, part 2 of our dive into the perilous waters of legalized sports betting. We learned last week of many questions confounding Congress as it moves to regulate sports betting. And we heard about several potentially devastating unintended consequences of legalizing it. Today, I'll look at a much darker side of the issue, gambling addiction. My guests are Arnie and Sheila Wexler, who know that disease all too well. Arnie's compulsive gambling nearly destroyed him, Sheila, and their 2 children. Their book, All Bets Are Off, is a searing story of a nationwide problem about which little is known and much is misunderstood. Gambling addiction. Arnie and Sheila Wexler, next. Sheila, Arnie, it's great to see you again.
Thank you. Here.
Great to be.
And your book is it's tough. It's a tough read. Written with Steve Jacobson, the former Newsday columnist. How would you describe your work now? You're compulsive gambling counselors, or?
We do consulting work. We do trainings. We do seminars, workshops, and some treatment.
Yeah.
We also do some work for the casino industry. We train their staff how to deal with compulsive gamblers that come in and play there and need some help.
Yeah.
So they refer a lot of people back to us. We've trained 40,000 casino workers in the last 15 years.
What do you imagine is going to be the impact of legalized sports betting?
2 years from now, you won't be able to get a seat in the Gamblers Anonymous room. They're going to come in like flies. You know, there's a generation of people that would never gamble illegally or go to a bookmaker. Now you make it legal, those people are going to try it. And some of those people have the genes to be addicted gamblers. And here's the proof. When I was at the Council on Compulsive Gambling, we hired Gallup to do a survey. We asked about 20 questions. 2 of the questions were this: have you ever played illegal numbers? 31% of the respondents said yes. Do you play state lottery? 81% said yes. I think that tells you something.
What do you think it tells you?
I think it tells you that the same thing is going to happen now with the sports betting that's become legal.
So a lot more people,
Absolutely.
obviously.
More people are going to try it, more people are going to get addicted, more people are going to seek help.
And a lot more sites, a lot more places to do it.
Exactly.
A lot more opportunity to do something that some of them are already doing. You know, either with bookmakers or amongst friends or on these other website kind of things. But once it's out there, it's going to become a problem for some people.
Yeah.
Not everybody.
The other thing, Tony, you got people that are going to gamble legally on sports. And when they don't have the cash to gamble legally on sports, they're going to do business with the bookmakers. So I think the bookmakers are not going to lose business, they're going to gain business in the long run.
Interesting you say that, Arnie, because our sports consultant last week, our marketing guy, said the same thing. He said, you know, the argument that legalized sports betting is going to drive out the illegal, not going to happen.
No,
absolutely not.
It doesn't.
It's going to give them more business.
Right. Yeah. How did you get started, Arnie? I mean, you were really addicted for, what was it, like 7, 8 years, something?
No, a lot longer than that. Yeah. Tony, I started gambling at age 7. It was flipping baseball cards, shooting marbles, pitching pennies, playing pinball machines. At 14, I went to the racetrack for the first time. And it was Memorial Day, 1951. I was making 50 cents an hour after school, working in a garment center. And I walked out of Roosevelt Raceway with $54, and it changed my life. I thought to myself, what an easy way to make money. What a jerk I was to make 50 cents an hour. I thought by the age 30 I would be a millionaire from gambling. And I was locked in. At 17 I started to steal to support my gambling addiction. And I stole comic books and marbles because that's what we gambled for in those days. And then I went out with 2 girls before I met Sheila, took them both to the racetrack and lost both times. So I knew girls were bad luck. And then I met Sheila. And our first date was to the movies, and the second date was Monticello Racetrack. She was 17, I was 22, and they stopped at the door. She was wearing pigtails, and they said, she's too young, she can't come in. So my first thought was, I'm going to gamble no matter what. I was ready to leave her in the car for those 3 or 4 hours. But we got into another window, and we got into the racetrack.
And it snowballed from there. And it got really ugly. I mean, it's all in the book, all bets are off. I want to talk a little bit about how bad it became between you two.
It was really bad. I mean, from the beginning, I didn't notice that gambling was a problem, but I did notice that gambling was important. And it seemed to color our relationships with other couples, it colored our family outings, it colored everything, and eventually, the money problems began to be insurmountable as far as trying to live off of whatever money was coming into the house. And the issues between us were more fights about anything and everything. I really couldn't understand why we didn't have a happy marriage. I couldn't associate the gambling love with why things were bad in our home.
So you were thinking things like there's another woman, or he's...
Definitely, because he was always out, or he didn't come home in the first place. And I was left with the feeling that there must be something I was doing that wasn't making him happy.
Tony, on our honeymoon, we went to Bermuda. Actually, I wanted to go to Las Vegas, and Sheila said, we're not going there. And then I thought, I knew there were a couple of casinos in Puerto Rico at the time, so I thought I'd go to Puerto Rico. She asked the travel agent, any gambling in Puerto Rico? She said, a couple of casinos. So we went to Bermuda where there was no gambling. We found horse racing in the mountains someplace there.
You found horse racing.
You found.
Right, I found. But here's the best part. We had the first 3 days of our honeymoon, there was a jelly bean jar in the hotel lobby, and it said, win a free trip to New York. Now, we had tickets back to New York, but I spent the first 3 days of the honeymoon, I spent more time with the jelly bean jar than with Sheila.
Trying to figure out how
Yeah,
many...
I wanted to figure out
how many were in
jelly
the...
beans were in there.
Yep.
Yes.
And you were going to win. You were going to gamble on the jelly beans.
Exactly.
in
The
effect.
other thing that happened was I bet a horse in the Kentucky Derby that year, and I bet him in the Preakness. And they were playing, while we were on our honeymoon, the Belmont Stakes was going on. And I decided once we get married, I was not going to make any more gambling. So the horse won and paid $132. Horse's name was Sherlock. And I figured out luck and Sheila, it seemed that that was a good thing. So I lost in the 2 races and I won. I mean, it won in the Belmont and I didn't have a penny on it, and that destroyed my head. The horse paid $132 for $2. And
It kind of destroyed the
that
honeymoon,
was the end
too.
of the honeymoon.
Yeah, I was about to say, it must not have helped the honeymoon.
No.
No, I blamed Sheila because I stopped gambling because we got married, so I lost this
My
big bet.
fault.
Yeah, it was your fault.
Yeah.
It's amazing, actually, if you read this book, it's amazing, actually, these 2 people are still together. I mean, there was a moment when what was it, you laid down in the front door to keep him from going out the door?
That's how desperate I got. I was always trying to find a way to make him want to stay home, to make him be in love with me, and he was always finding a way out the door. And I got so bad that I once laid in front of that front door to try to stop him from leaving. I didn't know he was going to the racetrack. I just knew he was angry and he was leaving. And he stepped over me.
And went
He
out.
left anyhow. And I spent hours trying to figure out what I could have done differently. Maybe if I spoke differently, I spent a lot of my life trying to figure out how to make him a happy husband.
And what, I mean, I said that in the beginning, in the introduction, it really put the lives of Sheila and your children in danger, and I don't think that's an exaggeration, is it?
Not really, because the whole family gets in danger. You know, there was no food in the house at times. And I was a plant manager supervising 400 people for the biggest dress company in America at the time. And if you came in and sold me boxes, I had to get a kickback. If the air freight guy came in, I got a kickback. If the hanger guy or the box guy came in, I got a kickback. I got a kickback on everything. I was making more money on the side than on my salary, but it was never enough because I was gambling. The more money I made, the more I gambled. And it was horrendous, and I just couldn't stop gambling. And I became a bookmaker in the factory, sending people to the bookmakers to get back kickback from the bookmaker. You know, everything was about making money so I could continue my gambling.
What turned it around? What stopped?
You know, what really happened is really funny. A guy came to work in my place, and they told me he was a millionaire. So I befriended the guy. I owed at that time 32 people 3 years annual salary. And after about 6 months, I said, Jerry, I need... And
your boss?
Yeah, he was the guy that came to work in my factory.
Oh, the millionaire.
Yeah. He said, yeah, you need to get help for your gambling problem. I didn't even think he understood or knew that I had a gambling problem. So for 3 weeks, he insisted that I go to this 12-step program in New York. And I said, I don't need help. And then he said the magic words, they straighten out money problems. So I thought that meant they were going to pay off my gambling debts, and that's why I went to the meeting. And I went there for 3 weeks, and after 3 weeks, they said, we will give you what we call a pressure relief meeting, is like a budget, if you bring your wife. So I went home and told Sheila. And then we came the 4th week. That was March 4th. I came February 12th, 1968. And on March 4th, we had the pressure relief meeting. Now, this pressure relief meeting, I thought they were going to give me money. Instead, they looked at everything and said I needed 2 more jobs. So I was not a happy person, and I decided the only way to get even was to go back to gambling. On an April 10th, 1968, I placed my last bet. It was the Major League Baseball season open. Bob Gibson from the Cardinals won the first game. Second game was Marichal from the Giants and Seaver from the Mets. And in the bottom of the ninth, the Giants scored 4 runs and I blew the game. That was the last bet I made.
But why was it the last? What enabled you to stop?
I didn't want to stop at that point, to be honest with you. It took me till September of that year, September 26th of that year. I went to Greenhaven Prison with a bunch of compulsive gamblers, and we saw guys that were in jail that kissed their kids and their wives through a mesh fence. They had a 12-step meeting in the prison. So I came back home, and I still had the urge to gamble, even though I hadn't gambled from April till September. I still knew I was going to go back to gambling somewhere along the way. And then we came home. We had to sit down till like 4 o'clock in the morning. And Sheila was so frustrated. At one point, she said, here's $50. Go to the racetrack tomorrow night and go gamble. And all of a sudden, it hit
Was there an unwritten coda to that? Go gamble, but don't come back? But how did you mean?
What I meant was if that's what you're going to do, go do it. I don't know what I would have done. I'd like to think I would have been strong enough by then to do something, for myself and for my kids. But it was like, I give up. If you can't stop, then we have nothing. So take the money and go.
We had 2 kids in the house at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was something about that was a turning point for me too, because I realized that there was nothing I could do to ever stop him.
You've written in the book that gambling addiction, compulsive gambling, is a silent killer. What does that mean?
Tony, that means that there's no track marks, there's no dilated pupils, there's no smell. You could be a compulsive gambler. You could come home, nobody would know it. You can't look in somebody's eyes. If I was an alcoholic or a drug addict and I came home to Sheila, she would smell it, she would see it, she would know it. This is a silent addiction. There is no telltale signs, and nobody could see it. You're living with somebody that's hiding it totally.
But you're certainly not hiding the behavior. The behavior is...
No, you're not hiding the behavior. You're not hiding the financial problems. But what happens is the compulsive gambler usually is very adept at telling a story about why things are happening.
Oh, they lie. I mean, he was a world-class liar.
Absolutely. And a con artist, you know, good salesman, a good talker, a good convincer. And he would give me just enough information to reassure me that everything was going to be all right. And there were times that I tried to prove that there was more to it than what he was telling me. There were times that I was this close to calling the bank or, you know, following up on my instincts that said something was really, really wrong, and I would just get so far. And he would play right into it. He'd give me a phone number of somebody and say, here, you call them, but it was Friday and I couldn't call them until Monday. You know, it just played on my psyche. And really by then, I had so little self-esteem or self-worth that he could have told me anything.
I remember one Friday she called me in work and said, well, what happened was I borrowed $5,000 from my boss. And he told me I could pay $10 or $20 a week back. I don't remember how much. So I didn't want Sheila to see in the check and the paperwork what was going on. So I started cashing my check every week and bringing home the cash. And she said to me one time, you know, how do you get cash? I said, well, the Fargo truck comes, the Wells Fargo truck comes, and 400 people line up, and everybody gets cash. And she bought into it. But here's what happened.
That wasn't one of your most inventive lies.
No, there were plenty of good lies.
No, but in addition to that, he had the little envelope with all the right things written down on it, just like you would on a cash paycheck.
And she all of a sudden one day called me on a Friday and said, you know, I'm not getting a full amount of money. Something is going on. I figured it out.
Yeah, I got the W-2. And I went through the weekly pay and what I was supposed to, whatever. I did spot. It was $25, by the way. And I did what I always did. I called him. Mm-hmm. I gave him an opportunity to explain it.
And he explained
and he said, wait till I get home. I have, you know, and he already had in his mind, I'm sure.
And the explanation was?
Call the IRS on Monday because it was an IRS situation. I said, the taxes are more in New Jersey than they are in Queens, and she bought into that. And
you were living in
Queens at the time.
Queens, okay.
And working in New Jersey, so
something
about.
So yeah.
By the time I got home, I figured out that the taxes were more in New Jersey than in Queens. I figured I could sell that to her, and then I gave her the name of the IRS guy, which I just picked out a number and gave it to her. I knew she'd never make the call.
Right.
And it came Monday, and she didn't.
It's all in the book. All bets are off. Sheila and Arnie Wexler. What percentage of how many? Can we put a number on this? How many compulsive gamblers do we estimate?
It's so hidden and so invisible, nobody knows.
It's hard to put a number, but there's been various research and studies, and you hear things like 2% of the population, 5% of the population. There's enough of millions of people.
When we talk about population, the population of gamblers or the...
No, the population.
Tony,
population of the country.
Here's an interesting fact. In 1999, there was a national study, a federal national study on gambling issues. And the guy that was the head research guy said to me that we did a survey at the point of gambling. They did a survey in casinos, in racetracks, in any place where people could bet. And they found 31% of the respondents said they gambled more than they should and wanted to.
So we estimate hundreds of thousands, millions?
Oh, it's millions.
Millions.
Yeah. I could show you my cell phone. In the last 2 weeks, I got calls from all over the country. And yesterday, I got a call from Nigeria.
I hope it wasn't that Nigerian prince. Which brings up the point that, you know, obviously you have to respect people's confidentiality. But tell me some of the stories you're hearing from people who are in need of help and call you.
This is a classic one. A guy shows up at the meeting about a year ago. And he says, I owned one of the biggest companies in Long Island.
I should interrupt just for a second. When you say at the meeting, you're talking what? Gamblers Anonymous?
At a 12-step recovery meeting.
Okay, 12-step recovery.
So a guy walks in and he says, I owned a very big company in Long Island. I sold it for $14 million cash. And it's 2 years later. And we say, give us your phone number, because we call people during the week to try to help people. And the guy said, my phone is in the pawn shop. I've dealt with a Major League Baseball player who was making $800,000 a year, couldn't pay a casino with $25,000 debt. I've dealt with people, I mean, I've dealt with athletes, I've dealt with an ex-senator in a state, I've dealt with an ex-congressman in Florida. So I get them from all sides. I get media people that have the gambling addiction. I had an editor of a major newspaper in New Jersey that came for help. Tony, it's so hidden and so invisible. You know, here's a classic case, bud. I get a call from a lady that tells me her husband runs an insurance company, and they're married 30 years, and she didn't know he gambled until the FBI arrested him for a $600,000 embezzlement from the company. And it can be that hidden and invisible.
Mm. And I deal a lot with families, and as my life unfolded in recovery, I worked in the field of addiction. There are many cases where people really don't know. Not so much like me, where I just wouldn't follow up and find out the truth because I was afraid to, but legitimately don't know what's going on. Husbands who, on their lunch hour, gamble, and then come home and seem perfectly normal. You know, you would have no idea. A woman that I worked with that didn't find out until he was arrested. He worked in his brother's business. He embezzled a lot of money. The brother finally figured it out. He never missed a day at home. He never left home. He did all his gambling with a bookmaker. And before they knew it, he was arrested, and then she found out what he'd been doing.
What do you say to these people? I mean, how do you, I mean, I guess the fundamental message is get help, but how do you...
Tony, the biggest problem today we have is young people. I saw 4 kids come in between the ages 17 and 20 that started gambling on the internet. And the same thing's going to happen with the sports betting stuff. You're going to see all these young kids coming for help.
Which is, by the way, already been legalized in your home state, New Jersey.
Yes, it has. Right. They already have access.
You were talking about young people.
The biggest change, you know, I'm in recovery over 50 years. The biggest change we've seen in the last maybe 20 years, the amount of females that are coming in and the amount of young people that are coming in for help. You know, when I came for help, I was 30 years old. Everybody else that was in the room in the 12-step program was 50, 60, 70, and 80. Now you're seeing 20-year-olds, you're seeing 25-year-olds, and you're seeing so many women. I remember going to a meeting in Gulfport, Louisiana. I walk in, there's 16 women at the meeting. And I said, gee, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was a women's meeting. And they said it's not. So a lot of women are coming for help today. And that's mostly because of the slot machines. A lot of women are addicted to slots.
You know, gambling obviously is a socially accepted phenomenon in this country, and everybody's involved. I mean, states are involved. Look how many lottos we have,
right.
and you know, when lotteries first started, you know, each state maybe had one. Now they got 2 or 3, a scratch off of this or that.
A lunchtime, a dinner time, everything.
Yeah, I mean, you've made the point before, but I think you should make again, Arnie, how everybody, you know, now that the Supreme Court has opened the door, everybody's looking for a piece of the action. And by that I mean the legal, you know, the leagues, the NBA, the NFL. The
only one that still has the morality is saying we don't want to get involved is the NCAA, which I'm surprised they're still holding tight there. We're going to see what happens there.
Well, don't you think that if gambling on everything, anything that happens you can gamble on a coin flip, but the NCAA is college basketball, college football, other college sports, big time, some of them. These athletes aren't paid. I wonder if, you know, the specter of the 1950s basketball shaving points scandal comes up. How do you?
It could happen again, Tony. There's no question. You know, the Major League Baseball players, they're making good money. The NBA guys, the NFL guys, they're making good money. But these kids in college,
they make nothing.
Supposedly, they're not making anything. There's
right.
Sure some shenanigans.
The NCAA is making plenty.
But you know, they're so hypocritical. I've done 2 trainings for the NFL, for the NFL in the mid-90s, and they were against sports betting. Now they want to take a piece of the action. Same thing with the NBA. I did trainings for the NBA. They hired me and Sheila to come and talk to all the players in 1997 or 8. They decided they didn't want to do it because they didn't want the media to find out. After they hired us and gave us a contract and everything. And, you know, there's a lot of athletes that have the addiction too. Especially after they stop playing, they need juice and they get into gambling. And I've dealt with a few of those.
Would I, go ahead, Sheila.
What I was going to say is that it is so acceptable. One of the key things that I have noticed is parents of young people who think that gambling is better than if their kids are drinking or doing drugs. They anytime rather see them be gambling, setting up poker games in their house or whatever it is that the young people are involved in.
At least my kid's not a drug addict.
Yeah, not a drug addict.
And we get those calls.
And people in general don't really understand the devastation. The highest suicide rate of any addicted population is compulsive gamblers, because it goes so far out and they don't get help and they're not confronted and nobody realizes they have a problem, that the only option is to kill themselves.
If somebody watching us right now is, you know, if this is hitting home for somebody watching this, what would you advise that person to do?
We have a hotline.
Whether she's a wife, a husband.
We have a hotline. They can call us and we'll be happy to direct them to help wherever they need the help. It's called 888-LAST-BET.
888-LAST-BET. And
or they could look up their local directory for self-help groups, Gamblers Anonymous, Gam-Anon for families. There's some professional help in some states. There's some states who have taken some of the money that they've gotten through gambling activity in their states and put it aside for counseling, for help for the problem.
The message of your book, All Bets Are Off, is essentially what you've just been saying?
The message of our book, I always would like to feel, is there's hope. People do turn their lives around. People do find a way to stay together and make their family a better, stronger entity. And people do find a way to be of service to others in a way that only recovering people can be.
Well, that's a beautiful message. Sheila, Arnie, it's good to see you both.
Thank you.
The book is All Bets Are Off, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
Tony.
us.
And thank you for watching. We'll see you next time.